Who is Drift? Our story begins in real-world California, where a graffiti artist that goes by the name Drift was spray painting a mysterious object when suddenly a rift opened up and took both the object and him to an entirely different universe known as Reality Zero. A place we know as the Fortnite Island, meaning that yes, Drift is canonically Fortnite's isekai protagonist. Once Drift arrived on this mysterious island, he was immediately greeted by others living there, including a snapshot of Jonesy named Rex, Cuddle Team leader who we now know as Sid, and Bright Bomber, who Drift became the closest with, but we'll get to that in a bit. Bright invited Drift to join them on their road trip, and seeing no other choice, he accepted their offer. The four began bonding over the course of this trip, and it would seem that many on the island really liked Drift, which eventually led this group to a pool party where someone gifted Drift a mask based off his logo. And while this just seemed like a kind gesture at first, the mask was more than meets the eye. It gave Drift the powers of the ancient Fox clan, allowing him to now be able to rift from reality to reality. But how this mask ended up in Reality Zero, or who exactly gave it to Drift, still remains a mystery to this day. But despite having these new rift powers, Drift stayed in Reality Zero and continued his adventure with his new friends as he learned to master his new powers. Plus, during the later part of the road trip, Drift and Bright's relationship became a bit more intimate. And since Drift was enjoying his new life on this island, he saw no reason to leave. Though not always peaceful for him in his new life, as the Imagined Order who controlled the island around this time had sent their enforcers after Drift since he wasn't supposed to be there. But considering Drift was still on the island at the end of the season, it's safe to assume he made quick work of them. But also at the end of Season 5, a mysterious cube had arrived on the island that seemed to hold dark secrets. But apparently this group had seen enough horror movies to know they should probably leave this to somebody more qualified to handle it. And for a while, that was where Drift's main story ended, but he would make various cameos here and there, like when he met an alternate universe version of himself named Catalyst in Season X, and when he sat with Bright Bomber to watch the final sunset of the Chapter 1 island, which was also the last time we saw these two together as a couple, as their relationship mysteriously ended in early Chapter 2 with little to no explanation of what happened, though their relationship is still referenced to this day from time to time. But speaking of Chapter 2, we can now cut forward to Season 5, where Drift out of nowhere was contacted by a woman named Vi, who claimed to be the last surviving member of the Fox clan, which is a group name I mentioned earlier in the video, but who are they? Well, the Fox clan is an ancient group that originates in Reality 783 on the island of Oninoshima. This group was known for their masks that give them rift-related powers. However, the one who created these magical masks for the group went mad with power and tried to destroy the entire island, which caused an event known as the Shattering War to break out, which resulted in magic being banned from Oninoshima, and the Fox clan were blamed by the River Guard for all that had happened. This also painted a target on the group's back and caused a mysterious dark presence to wipe out all members of the group, with Vi being the only surviving member. Which brings us back to her meeting with Drift. She explained to Drift that this same dark presence was targeting him as well, since he now had one of their masks. But they could work together to not only survive, but also rebuild the Fox clan. Not only did Drift agree to this, but he also introduced Vi to Catalyst, meaning that the new Fox clan already had 3 members before they left Reality Zero. After this, Drift disappeared again for quite some time, just making cameos during Chapter 3's summer event, and he was also seen during some rift encounters during Chapter 4 Season 1, but it would seem whatever story this was supposed to build to got scrapped for what we have now, which began in Chapter 4 Season 2, where we would find out that Drift has taken in an apprentice that he's nicknamed Stray, who happened to be the little brother of Misaki, the empress of the Fox clan's rivals, the River Guard. And while these two factions will never like each other, they have agreed to keep peace with one another after an incident occurred in Mega City. But since then, Stray has basically become Drift's adopted little brother, who's not only his apprentice, but also his best friend. But that now brings us to Drift's new story in Chapter 6, where we find out that Vi has taken the new Fox clan to her homeworld of Oninoshima. Though the group faced issues there, as many inhabitants of the island still hated the Fox clan for their past actions, despite almost none of the current members being the ones who caused the Shattering War. Though it would seem not everyone hated the new Fox Clan, as Drift was able to recruit another apprentice named Surge, who is said to be his most promising student yet. Though, according to Vi, while Drift is great at recruiting new members for the group, he's not being very responsible when it comes to actually training them. But that aside, sometime during all the chaos in Chapter 6, which you can hear about in my full story videos, Vi realized the group needed a new leader to fully rebrand from the original Fox Clan, and they all decided that Drift should be the leader of the group, which is when he took on the appearance of Rift Reaver Drift. Though shortly after he became the leader, the bug invasion hit Oninoshima, and instead of ordering the group to stay and fight, he told them to use their powers and scatter across the Omniverse. And while Mizuki calls them cowardly for this, I think it makes perfect sense. Tell me, why would Drift tell the group who just entrusted him to be their leader to risk their lives for an island that has done nothing but be prejudiced against them for actions they didn't even commit? Now, I'm defending Drift, he just wants to make sure the Fox Clan stays safe. But when Drift left Oninoshima, he traveled to Reality Zero? And it's exactly how it was when he first arrived, with events even repeating themselves? So this brings us to Drift's most recent story in Season 5 OG, where Drift has returned to Reality Zero, but something isn't right. Drift's memory is clearly foggy, but he can't shake the sense that all of this has happened before. So similar to when he first arrived in Reality Zero, Drift spent his time once again road tripping around the island just by himself this time. And as he adventured, he started to regain his memories. Memories that even he claims are basically from another life. This isn't meant to be taken literally, by the way, like in the snapshot sort of sense. It's just Drift has gone through so much, it basically does feel like another lifetime to him. Admittedly, it's kind of bittersweet reading Drift's dialogue, as he seems like he's really enjoying being back where his story began. But he also shows signs that he really misses his friends, and he especially misses Bright Bomber. Also, side note, but this was all actually hinted at with the jam track in the LEGO Pass, which was originally supposed to be in the OG Pass. But what I did really like with this recent chapter of Drift's story is that we've finally gotten to know who he is as a person versus him just being thrown into another situation. Drift has a rebellious personality, but is also a natural leader. He's not only good at making friends, but he's also able to inspire others. And he's not only a capable driver, but he's also a very capable fighter. Drift may initially come off as a bit of a goofy character, especially with that terrible mohawk. But in reality, he is actually one of the most fleshed out characters in the entire game, which is surprising, especially since he was a Chapter 1 character and most of them didn't make it past their initial season. But personally, I couldn't be happier seeing my main skin finally return to the storyline. And with Drift being featured in the Daft Punk teaser trailer, it doesn't look like they have any plans to get rid of Drift anytime soon, so hopefully he now has a bright future ahead of him.